Welcome to our community conversation series. Despite COVID, the killing of George Floyd, and centuries of systemic racism and oppression, a burgeoning urban renaissance is taking place in North Minneapolis. The purpose of NEON's community conversation series is to discuss the North Side's economic transformation with some of the Twin Cities' most distinguished thought leaders, with topics ranging from the commercial development in North Minneapolis to the economy and its impact on BIPOC entrepreneurship, to the importance of NEON's Grow and Thrive Northside Growth Campaign. This morning's conversation is moderated by B.C. O'Neill Erie from Fox 9 News. Without the support of our sponsors, this programming would not be possible. NEON would like to thank the following companies for their generous sponsorship: Key Investment, Mortenson, United Healthcare, Target, U.S. Bank, Bremer Bank, Nanda Lakes, Northeast Bank, Sunrise Banks, and Thrivent. Now I'd like to hand things off to our moderator, BC. Take it away, BC.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second NEON Community Conversation. I am your moderator this morning. My name is B.C. O'Neill, and I am co-anchor at Fox 9 News at 6:30 and 7 o'clock on Fox 9 Plus. Now, this is intended to be a conversation, a very free-flowing conversation. So everyone, please, at any moment, feel free to interject and add your perspective to the discussion. Today's focus is on changing the narrative of North Minneapolis from one of deficit and disinvestment to one of opportunity and homegrown transformation, with an emphasis on minority-driven excellence. I would like to take this opportunity to first introduce Warren McLean. He is the president of the Northside Economic Opportunity Network.
Thank you for the introduction, BC. Thank you for moderating. As always, we're excited to have you lead us through this discussion and the work that you do. Thank you for just working with us through this, and we thank you for that and appreciate all that you're doing on behalf of NEON and the community and these community conversations.
We have a great lineup of guests this morning. Our first guest is Ann Fix. Ann created, launched, and now manages the Northside Food Business Incubator Program at NEON. It's the only industry-specific incubator designed specifically for food business in Minnesota. Welcome. Our second guest is Hamsi Warfa. He is the Deputy Commissioner for Workforce Development at the Department of Employment and Economic Development. He was appointed in April of 2019. Deputy Commissioner Warfa is the highest ranking African immigrant in Minnesota. And Chef Kay and Mariam, together, they form Kay's Revolutionary Catering and More. Mariam handles the management side of Kay's Revolutionary Catering and More, and Chef Kay brings the culinary expertise. Again, thank you to our guests for taking part in this morning's conversation. And so, again, our focus is on, the impact of COVID-19 on small food and hospitality-oriented businesses in North Minneapolis, and the potential for these businesses to create community vitality and economic prosperity with support from NEON and DEED. My first question goes to you, Mr. McLean. The key question here, as we move through now 2021, we've put 2020 behind us, but there's still a lot that we're dealing with when it comes to the pandemic, when it comes to race relations in America, and when it comes to the impact that the pandemic has really had on a lot of businesses, specifically in the north side of Minneapolis. What does the future look like to you moving forward?
Well, I mean, we have an opportunity right now to change the narrative in North Minneapolis. We have, we've got a number of businesses like Chef K and K's Revolutionary Food Business that is positioned to really grow going forward. We want to obviously amplify the number of businesses that can do that. What we need, though, from for Minnesota as a whole, a sustained commitment to support our community. What we had as a result of the pandemic and George Floyd's murder is sort of an inflection of philanthropic support. We've had the state step up. We've had everybody step up in a very important way. But what we need is an ongoing commitment to that, because the problems that we saw occur with George Floyd's murder were not, that wasn't a one-day event. That was something that was festering for a long period of time, and we got to see it globally. And so now that we've seen just how, I would say the covers have come off, and so we can clearly see that this community has some issues that need to be addressed. And they're not just for Minnesota, they're national. However, we happen to be at the epicenter of those challenges. But on the other hand, we need to seize this as an opportunity to change the narrative in a very effective way. And I first want to commend Hamza Warfa and Deed for their work. And I'll tell you that specifically, they have been extraordinary in the way that they have supported small businesses throughout this pandemic and George Floyd's murder. And I'll be specific. On Sunday night, and way back in, I think, late March or April, we had a meeting at 8 o'clock at night on Sunday night with his team. There were about 80 people on the call, figuring out how we would run the SBEL program. And they were very collaborative in getting that done. They took all the input from all the organizations that they were working with, all of the partners, and they took that information and they said, okay, we're gonna make this as easy as possible to get these funds out, and they did it. And so I commend Hamza and his team for really making that happen. But that's the kind of effort that we need going forward, that can't be like just a one-time sort of experience, but we now say, we know now that we can be resilient, we can be collaborative, we can be innovative, we can be, we can work in a very extraordinary way in terms of collaboration. And we can be open and just welcoming change. And I thought that this was something that we did collectively. And so we had extraordinary, I think, opportunity to really get dispersed funds, and we did that very effectively. And so I think that's the kind of work that we need going forward. And I think we have that opportunity now that we've seen it. We have a model now for what we can do going forward. We need to make sure that we don't put it on the shelf and return to business as usual. So.
And you gave us a great idea of how Deed has really played a critical role in supporting business owners during these difficult times. Hamza, can you elaborate more on Deed's role right now and the future moving forward?
Yeah, thank you so much. I am very pleased to be part of this conversation this morning. It's really a pleasure. I have to say, I missed being in in-person meetings, as all of you, I'm sure, have been. As being a social animal, I just, this virtual thing, as much as I'm a techie guy, I would have preferred that we are in person, but recognize the limitations that we have. So Department of Employment and Economic Development is the state's principal economic development agency. And so we work to attract and retain, expand businesses, and also create jobs for all Minnesotans. So we work to connect workers to jobs, prepare individuals for jobs in high demand industries. But we know that is only one side of the equation. For that to be successful, we want to ensure that businesses are thriving, that the creativity of business entrepreneurs in our communities have the opportunity to excel. And we also know that, we have historical deficits that a lot of communities have experienced that, need to be tackled, head on. And we are grateful for the partnership with NEON. Quite frankly, this work over the last 9 months and previously would not have been possible without that, kind of bottom-up approach, community-driven, thoughts and ideas and solutions coming from leaders, in our communities and organizations like NEON, who are on the forefront of identifying the challenge that exists and ways to solve. And so, as Warren mentioned, this work can only happen in partnership with organizations and individuals. And so we are very pleased, just for those who might not be too familiar with DEED, we have 4 divisions at DEED: workforce development, economic development. We're, I think, one of very few states that has both workforce and economic development in the same agency. Many of you might know that these 2 agencies operate separately. In the past, in most states, I should say, and within Minnesota, I think it was under Governor Ventura that these 2 agencies were brought together under one umbrella. And so we're very unique in that. So workforce development, economic development, and then we have workforce services, which focuses more on, it's mostly federal programs, SSB, people with, disability determination, and so forth. And then the 4th area is what we call general support services. And so those are the 4 divisions at DEED. But the one that I think most important is that we work intersectional area of workforce development and economic development. So for example, I oversee the workforce development system, which includes Office of Economic Opportunity. This is an office that was established in 2016. And the goal is to help address disparities between whites and communities of color, specifically in the area of entrepreneurship, in the area of workforce, training and development. And so really excited to be part of this conversation. And I look forward to, getting engaged and learning more about ideas that have been implemented, and also discussing about what's next. We have survived over the last 9 months, despite the significant pain that we went through and loss of lives and economic damage that we have experienced. But I think I remain hopeful that, we will come strong and not just go back to where we were, because where we were did not work for everyone, but emerge stronger and, building a stronger economy that we can all participate.
See, thank you so much for shedding light on just the many resources available to the businesses that are out there that are really having a difficult time right now. And I'd like to take this time to talk about the impact that COVID-19 has really had on businesses, entrepreneurs, and specifically when it pertains to businesses of color. They've had it especially hard. Many have not even survived. So I'd like to take this time to talk to Chef Kay and Miriam and just talk to me and tell me about the impact that COVID-19 has had on your business.
It goes without saying it was shattering, especially because once we built a little bit of momentum, it was like watching water wash away muck, wash away your life down the drain. So it's impacted us emotionally. It's impacted us financially. It's impacted the trajectory of our business and how we moved. But it also opened our eyes to realizing nobody can predict the future, right? And we were able to spend a lot of time with the community members and other entrepreneurs in Neon and collaborate in a way that helped us really think outside the box. And we were able to really utilize our beverage, our Stay Well Tonic, as an alternative measure from the catering, and be able to share with people these 10 ingredients in our beverage that can help them at least have some kind of preventative factor, if you will, for anything that is to come, whether it's a cold, whether it's, just feeling under the weather, just something to make people feel good and give them some sense of comfort, So we were able to transition and expand that thanks to Neon and thanks to a lot of some other community members that have really helped support our business maintain itself, because we were really pretty much closed. It was a wrap, like it only took 3 to 5 days, I think, before our calendar went from 8 months scheduled out to 0 with no hopes of anything to even be seen. And that I'm sure goes for many. So,
you know, what I've noticed about the struggle that many small businesses have had to deal with is that it's really forced them to get creative, right? During these times. And let's shift over to Anne. Anne, as Chef K and Miriam's business grows and the pandemic subsides, how do you expect your working relationship to change?
That's a great question. I would say at Neon, our method, or what makes us unique, is that we meet the businesses where they're at, and we follow the businesses. We're a part of the businesses' lives, so to speak, as long as they need us, as long as they want us. And so we really find ourselves growing with our clients. One of the great things about working with Mariam and Chef K is that actually we just were reminiscing yesterday about meeting up in a Costco right as this COVID was coming down. And, oh, how are you? We had our regular hugs, and they said every single one of our clients have canceled in the last 3 days. And I think that's what hit me. I actually went back to the office and told Warren and the other business advisors, we're in trouble. We have to act now. This was in March of 2020. And so the way that I see Neon being a part is really continuing our same very hands-on. We're in the trenches with our clients. We're not going to stop that. We're going to keep being in the trenches with them. We're going to keep being almost like a family, where we will be a reliable, trustworthy collaborator, partner with the businesses as long as they feel that they need us. I'm actually feeling very positive about 2021. I think with businesses like Mariam and Chef K keeping their business model very lean, they're very smart and savvy about the way they've grown their business. I think they have such great opportunities. It helped them weather the storm of 2020, and now they're going to start 2021 on a very positive trajectory. And I just see all great things for them coming in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are looking at 2021, as we typically do a new year, as a fresh start, but especially after 2020. And again, you know, feel free, everyone, if there's something you hear and you feel like you want to interject, go for it. Speaking on positivity, Hamsi, this question is for you. Do you expect any long-term permanent changes to the small business industry as a result to the racial injustices, the tension, and the pandemic?
Yeah, BC, thank you. We over the last several weeks and months, we have been really working closely with Governor Walz and Lieutenant Flanagan, just thinking about what are the key pillars we need to ensure that we are not just building, going back to where we were, but we're building better so that we have an economy that is more inclusive than it was even prior to COVID. Because if you remember, in the last recession we had 2008, a lot of people were left out and never came back. A lot of businesses were disproportionately impacted, where businesses owned by BIPOC community members. Same thing is happening now. So we have developed 5 pillars in which, moving forward, we want to make sure that any economic recovery is centered around. The first one, we have to start everything with equity. We know the obvious. We know the problem statement is, COVID has disproportionately impacted BIPOC businesses, BIPOC workers were greatly displaced. So our recovery must start with, communities of color that need to rebuild because they have disproportionately been impacted. So that's really the first principle in recovery under Governor Walz's administration. The second is safely reopening the state, and so ensuring that we really remain focused on, thoughtfully navigating through all of the complexities involved in reopening and ensuring that, we are very deliberate in how we reopen as we, have already started doing that. The third area is that, rescaling our workforce. So in the service industry, which predominantly, has workers from diverse communities, BIPOC, especially Black, Indigenous, and people of color, we know a lot of jobs might never come back. We lost, significant jobs that even prior to COVID, were at risk of displacement due to automation and other challenges. So how do we rescale and ensure that people with, experience and skill set can transfer to other jobs that are, if their jobs are not, if they are not able to go back to their jobs. And so that's going to be the third key pillar. The fourth is creating good jobs. We have a lot of jobs that are paying very low. And so we want to make sure that we are leading to people to family sustaining wages. So we have a One Minnesota goal that will focus on family sustaining wage for BIPOC community members, and also people who are, in metro or urban area that proportionally have been impacted, so that's the fourth area. And the fifth is just the strengthening the safety net, right? We just imagine if we didn't have the safety net over the last 9 months, it would have been crazy, right? I mean, we would have had severe impact, of people losing their jobs, not getting any, benefits. So under the federal new administration, Biden administration, we want to work closely to ensure that, we are strengthening the safety. So those are the 5 key pillars. And I think, as I said, it has to start with the businesses owned by BIPOC community members and workers who are displaced because they are disproportionately impacted by COVID.
And if I can just add to your third pillar, something that coming from the restaurant industry ourselves, combined, we've spent about 35 years in the restaurant industry, and by the entire grace of the Most High, we were not employed. Otherwise, our lives would be very different if had we not had this business going. And so as you mention and speak about building security jobs that may not be replaceable, places just exactly Neon is the kind of place where these people that are experiencing this type of hardship can go to and learn how to turn their skills into their own business. They don't necessarily have to go back to a job that may not be there. There are different ways, and with the way we are all, right, the whole country is trying to build sustainable careers, equality, balance for Blacks, for people of color. We can encourage them to now start what you need to do for your dreams, not just always work for someone else. And that, if it wasn't for Neon, we wouldn't have that.
Work for the moment just to make the money. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just, just to, keep, to be fed and bring money,
wealth.
And bringing money in the house is about building wealth too. Like, let's turn that into something that can be something for you, for your future, for your children.
Yeah, something sustainable.
Sustainable.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Thank you, sisters. I could not agree more. Before I joined DEED, I started my own business. I should say businesses, including the ones that did not work, right? And so I really, I'm very mindful of, the biggest challenge that, when I first started, my first business did not work out in parts. I was heavily underinvested. I had no idea where to go for investments. I had both cultural linguistic challenge as a new Black immigrant, to the country. And so I was able to borrow some money from family members, but then I just burned it immediately. I also was lacking the knowledge of like what are the most important things that I need to pay, cover on these small funds that I had. And so under investments, the other issue is really access, right? Access to network. It really comes down to, who do you know? I often, I used to provide fundraising trainings, and I used to say, how many of the people in the room know Bill Gates? And everybody raises their hand. And I say, how many of you personally know Bill Gates? And then all the hands are down. And then I say, how many of you know someone who might know Bill Gates? And the hands are still down, right? And then I went to Canada in an area that, where mostly affluent, financial affluent communities. And I said, how many of you know Bill Gates? And there wasn't many hands raised. But then I said, how many people know someone who knows Bill Gates? And there were a few hands that were raised, right? And so sometimes, just having access to investors, and whether they're venture capitalists or, and that's the type of work that our partnership with, Neon and our lenders really come in, is how do they have the local knowledge, they have access to the entrepreneurs, they also have access to, the other side, right? Government, executive leaders and entrepreneurs, businesses and investors. Mm-hmm. So ensuring that, organizations like Neon has the resources to connect supply and demand in many ways is also equally important.
Yeah, and the mentorship, yeah.
The mentorship, absolutely.
Mandatory.
So critical.
Mandatory.
Yeah, so grateful to hear your thoughts on that. So thank you for sharing.
I will build on that a little bit, Mariam, in that over 90% of the food businesses at Neon have stayed in business through 2020. I'm so proud of that for the exact reasons that you just mentioned, Mariam. Just getting our businesses to weather the storm, but being able to go into 2021 and say, we're back, we're bruised. The businesses in North Minneapolis, the Neon businesses that we work with are resilient and smart and savvy and will weather this storm. And I'm proud of them for making it through for those exact reasons, Mariam. So thank you both for sharing that.
Of course.
With the pandemic, as has been mentioned during our conversation, some businesses have really struggled. Some people have not survived. But I imagine that there are some people who are looking at this as an opportunity to maybe go into their own business, entrepreneurship. Warren, have you seen an increase in the number of businesses or entrepreneurs seeking Neon services?
Yeah, first of all, we had a record year in terms of clients served. It's off the charts. I mean, at the end of our goal for clients served in 2020 was 750. We have served 1,352 clients through, so it's almost twice the amount of the goal. Our goal for hours, technical assistance hours, was 3,000. We were at 4,100 at the end of the third quarter, and I think we're going to probably be over 6,000 when it's done. So we've seen clients start businesses. Quite candidly, most of our time and resources were spent on keeping folks who are already in business going, but we still saw, several startups as well. So, and we expect that to continue into 2021. One of the things that we're doing at Neon is really, we've launched a Grow and Thrive campaign to really bring more resources into Neon, but actually to North Minneapolis. So we want to really expand our staff significantly so that we have support for Ann, who leads now is our Director of Business Advisor and Director of Business Development. And so, I mean, we're going to add to her team so that we can really provide and more support for, K's Revolutionary Catering and other folks like that, because it's the demand has been extraordinary. We don't think it's going to subside. We think it's going to increase. People are going to see the light. They're going to see exactly what Marion was describing and saying, hey, we made a pivot at a certain time. And as a result of that pivot, we are sustainable. Our jobs didn't go away. I mean, obviously they had to make some changes and showed their innovation and resilience, but they're sustainable. They're in business. And this year, I predict they will flourish. And so I'm just really excited about them because they bring that to the table. And so we're looking to add more resources to make sure that we can support the increased client base.
Mhm. And when it comes to support, over the last year, there had been a number of reports about how it was really difficult for small businesses, businesses of a color in particular, to get access to these federal loans. Many are still just trying to get a hold of those funds. Hamsi, what are Deed's plans for loans and other financial assistance in this new year?
Yeah, thanks. First, I want to just really again acknowledge that it was a normal year, right? Last year, just the amount of work that our lenders like Neon went through, just to mention a few examples. Early within the first few weeks of the pandemic, we were able to approve, governor's request for get a request for $80 million on the small business emergency loan program. Then we have 10 million for a small business loan guarantee program. Then we had the small business relief grants, $72 million. I mean, there was just like every few weeks, it seemed like we were just loading number of new tasks and projects to Neon's to-do list, so just want to first acknowledge, the amount of work that has gone through by, Neon and our lenders. Still, they carry the burden of the work most often, so just thank you, Warren. So this year, I think, clearly this morning I listened President-elect Biden talk about, new relief package. And he was specifically asked, there was just relief package that was passed. What are the plans, and President-elect Biden said, that was kind of down payment and we have to do another aid package in the first few months of the new administration. The new programs, some are obviously administered the SBA directly, so we don't get involved, as an agency, but we work closely with them. Others, the $216 million that was just passed through the Minnesota State House and Senate and approved, by the governor. They, mostly is going through the counties. Portion of that is going through Department of Revenue for food, hospitality industry that has been hit hard. And my understanding is that, portion of that has already payments started going out last 2 days. And so that is restaurants, coffee shops, bars. And then for those who, might not have had correct addresses or, so this funding payments that went out, businesses were not asked to do anything. But if businesses don't receive any funding and they fit the criteria and the eligibility, there will be an application that will open up, I believe, January 19th and through February 5th, where organizations can submit their correct information. This is for hospitality industry, restaurants, coffee shops, and so forth. 113 million went to counties. So the counties are administering their own funds. In fact, I think Hennepin County application deadline is today at noon. So organizations, small businesses can apply those funds as we speak. And so that's the other portion. We are managing a small portion that goes to theaters and, kind of big gathering event gases. That's also happening in the process. So we anticipate there's critical coming months to make sure that, sustain businesses because really out of the woods yet and businesses are heavily impacted. So looking forward to continued partnership with Neon and our other lenders. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I just wanted to add that you said we're not out of the woods yet, and I can't echo that enough. One of the critical issues that the food businesses are facing right now in North Minneapolis is we have no access to commercial kitchen space. This is critical. Every food business has to have a commercial kitchen, and we do not have access to this. We lost it through COVID. We were able to get our food businesses into other kitchens throughout the cities. And then the George Floyd murder happened, and kitchens have shut down. It's just been a triple whammy of impact for our food businesses. And so as bright as I feel about 2021 and moving forward, I also know there's a lot of work in that I'm still trying to find commercial kitchen space for our clients. The need is critical, and Neon's going to deliver somehow. I just believe in that.
And so let me add to that. So we just launched a growth and thrive or grow and thrive campaign. One of the components of that is to establish a commercial kitchen in North Minneapolis. We have land that's being donated to us, and we've raised some capital for it already. So the goal is to get that done, but that's a huge, huge component. We have three aspects of our campaign, and that's one of them, and that's one of the key legs of what we want to get done in 2021. So understand that's extremely high on our list to make sure that we provide commercial kitchen space in North Minneapolis. And we're talking about a new facility, so we're talking about something we're going to build. So we're excited about that work.
And to stress how necessary it is because of the how you expand from point A, like how do we crawl before, or how do you walk? You have to crawl first. And without like a home base, people have no idea how to connect with their community. They have no access to that. You're already talking about people that are generally economically challenged. So the transportation issues and how to get all the way to another neighborhood that might not even be as welcoming to you is critical. And it's critical to the motivation of these newly started entrepreneurs, because if they don't have somebody who understands and an investment within them, it's like starting a business, failing a business, starting a business, failing a business. That we can do that all day long. But how do you make your dreams come true? Well, I need a solid support team, right? And that's the one thing that Neon, they are infamous for this support. Like Ann had mentioned earlier, like it didn't just, oh, we didn't come in for a meeting or, you know, a workshop and then we were done and left on our own. There was follow-up, there was support, not just from Neon, but from other businesses that help with our licensing, our certifications for food handling, these kind of things, and being able to have access to how to get them is not just common knowledge. It's not just readily available. And so Neon acts as a hub. And if they have a safe space, a kitchen that people can come back to and learn from point A to point B, C, D, we're talking about long-term economical change for our community. Not just today, but long-term.
Miriam and Sheffield, what does the future look like for you? What are you hoping for as we start the new year?
Well, we're hoping to just basically grow, you know, like we want to be able to be a business. We are a business. We have, you know, a following, we have those things, but how do we expand our business? And how do we let people know that we are still here and that we work with everybody, not just one set of people? We've lost our market, you know what I mean, in North Minneapolis because of the pandemic. And we work closely with Neon in order to maintain and to offer goods to people, even things that we donate, you know, to the community, just so that they know that there's still options. You don't have to resort back to maybe your previous way of living, like maybe you didn't know that water is a good thing. I don't know, I'm just using that as an example, but like people don't have to feel like they were left off to dry, but we're still here. We're still ready to grow. We're still ready to learn, so ideally, we would get back to catering. Ideally, our Stable Tonic will be on the shelves of our co-ops and in our coffee shops that are, but with the struggle of restaurants staying open and cafes staying open, it's very challenging for us to convince somebody to spend more money into another product that they don't know anything about, so we're just consistent, what I mean? And we just keep driving to make an expansion reality. So we do get grants, and we are grateful for some of the grants, that we've received, but we're looking for sustainable investments. There's lots of people out here that have plenty of money that could invest into small businesses and things like that, and they could help us or connect us in networks and things like that we aren't readily available, right? So we just plan on building those kind of relationships and introducing those same people into North Minneapolis so that they understand that we are here and we're present, and we're not trying to leave our community, we're trying to build our community. So that's our goal.
Thanks for sharing, Miriam. If I may follow up, just a quick question on, I recognize that even if you were to pivot to, virtual technology, that requires an investment,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like what do you find that as a challenge and potential opportunity?
Well, if I understand your question correctly, so the investment problem is like there just isn't access, right? There just isn't. It's not common knowledge. You have to go through a lot of hoops and hula, and then sometimes the language, it can be a barrier, right? Like the level of understanding of the corporate language versus what we deal with in a small business world is very different. And so, we need that kind of that bridge point, right? Somebody that can help connect the two. So the technical stuff is pretty tough, but again, if we had silent investment, right? Not people that are going to be.
If we knew someone who knew Bill Gates. And Bill Gates just happened to try our Stay Well Tonic, then he can become a silent investor in Case Revolutionary Catering.
Right.
So, that's what we're on.
Right.
That's a good one.
So that's where we're on. Yeah, exactly. And just trying
Thanks
to
for
learn.
sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I ask that because I know, for example, one of my divisions is Career Force. So we provide, job services to our potential job seekers and connect with employers. But it's a physical footprint. So we have 50 locations across the state. So in March, when we closed, how do people access services? And so that's a challenge that, excited that, some of my team in that division was able to pivot and provide virtual services. But I just recognized, how much, even as a state agency with, significant investment, it was a challenge for us. So imagine a small business trying to, I know an owner of a coffee shop, coffee maker that decided to become now a virtual retail, wholesale rather, and sell through, Amazon. She was able to access resources because she's been around a long time, 15 years. But it took a lot of investment from her to build the infrastructure to pivot to, virtual. So I was just curious, learning a little bit from your perspective. So thanks for doing that.
We definitely did. I'll just say that we used some of our grant money to relaunch our image and things like that. But now, so we have an e-commerce, right? Like we have a website where people can purchase Stay Well Tonic and learn about our business and catering service. Mm-hmm. However, how do you get traffic to your site, right? And that's another set of monies and
Yeah.
another set of marketing and another set that you may not
Yeah.
be privy to, right? And so you're learning as you are working, right? Because you can't stop and figure it out. You can't like, hold on, let me figure this out and then I will start selling tonic. No. So we're like learning as we grow,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
in some ways it goes back to that network thing of Bill Gates'
Exactly.
friend, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so under invested, under networked, it's a huge challenge. That's why I think organizations like Neon and are critical, factors for us to ensure we provide pathways.
That's right.
And Hamsi, can you at all give us any sort of insight on how you plan on working with Neon on efforts to support small businesses and how it will change from last year to this year?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for asking. It's a great question. So the governor is rolling out his budget on the last week of the month, this month, and we are currently discussing, what does small business support looks like, and so I don't want to preempt the governor's rollout of what his budget, for the coming 2 years are. But I would say that with equity being the first principle to apply, through any action, I can assure you there would be strong components that focuses on small business support, especially businesses owned by BIPOC community members. I would love, this is also a time if you have, Warren, if you have ideas or thoughts that you'd like to share with me in the coming days, certainly we can, also incorporate into the final budget rollout by the governor. But we are absolutely clearly looking at, what is the targeted efforts we can do to support Black, brown-owned businesses, and also more broadly, small businesses in our state.
So one for Hamza, thank you for that invitation. We'll definitely connect with you. We have, I'm part of something called the Catalyst Group, and we're launching about a $50 million fund that's going to be focused primarily on BIPOC businesses. So that's something that we would like Governor Walz and your team to get behind, as well as specific support for us, Neon, and and on our peers in the industry that are doing the retail work. So that's something we ought to talk about. I'll have we have somebody on that part of the Catalyst Group that kind of does the groundwork on that. So I'll talk and ask them to connect with your office on that.
And before we wrap things up, Chef Kay and Miriam, I think that when it comes to businesses and striving and surviving, it comes to support. What is it that the Twin Cities community residents, what can they do right now to support businesses like yours?
Simple, buy our products, check us out on our social media sites, on our websites. Is really important, to, that we continue to receive our community support in any way that you can, whether it just be like I said, buy our product. But if you can't buy our product, at least you could share our website or our information with someone who you think may be interested in our products. Word of mouth goes a long way.
Make suggestions to your local businesses that could potentially carry our Stay Well tonic.
Exactly.
Think about maybe if you're not interested in our product, that maybe some of your family members and friends may be. Come to our events, some of our community forums that we're involved in. Private investors are always welcome. Just to let you know, we're at the letter KS revolutionary.com. On Facebook, we are at Revolutionary Catering. On Instagram, we are at the letter KS Revolutionary Catering. So there's lots of places to find us. You can Google us. We actually come up right on the top, which is really nice. So, you know, we just would appreciate, you know, any kind of support.
Absolutely. And I wish you the best success moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And
Thank you
thank
for
you,
sharing your
yes,
story.
everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I feel like this conversation was very insightful. A lot of collaboration taking place when it comes on the part of small businesses, Northside, Minneapolis, and Neon. And Neon has done a tremendous job in making sure that a lot of these small businesses of color, that they keep standing, that they keep fighting. And what a great tool to have in the arsenal. Again, thanks for everyone. And we have another conversation, community conversation coming up. This one Wednesday, February 3rd, with guest Neil Kashari. He is the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis. And he's a very profound speaker. And I really look forward to hearing what he has to say and moving this conversation forward. Thanks, Warren, for this opportunity to moderate. And I'll turn things over to you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, BC, for, again, moderating this panel. It's an august panel. Thank you, Hamza, for spending your time and sharing your insights and giving us some information that we can work with. And thank you, Anne, for the work you're doing with Chef K and K's and Miriam and K's Revolutionary Catering. All of you are doing an awesome job. And we thank you with this kind of team that all of us collectively working together. The North Side will indeed be changed and transformed. And so this is the kind of effort we need. We need to change the narrative. And this community conversations is one of the tools that we're using to change the narrative about what's going on in the North Side. So thank you, all of you, for your work and appearing and taking the time to make sure that we spread the word about the work that we're doing in North Minneapolis.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you, BC.
Thank you, everyone.
We appreciate you all.
Appreciate you all, yes.
I hope you find our conversation insightful. Once again, I'd like to thank our guests, moderator, and sponsors. Now I would like to schedule a personal conversation with you and my team to discuss opportunities for your involvement in the Grow and Thrive Northside campaign via the web at www.neon-ms.org/grow-thrive-northside. Via phone at 612-746-4150 and via email at grow@neon-emma.org. Once again, I'm Warren McLean, president of Neon. Thanks for tuning in.